Over the last couple of years, there's been a lot of investment and a lot of excitement around the climate space. And one of the things that we've been saying on this platform is that for us to create green jobs, we have to focus on the skilling bit of it. We have to be able to ready our young people to be able to take up these opportunities, whether it's on the entrepreneurship side or on the job side that will come out of the investments. On this episode, we get to focus on what exactly Kenya is doing to prepare its young people with the necessary skills for them to be able to take advantage of the green economy. My name is Sellah Bogonko, co-founder and CEO, Jacob's Ladder Africa, and this is Green Jobs Africa. So today we get to interact with one of the rising stars, in my opinion, when it comes to greening the skills of young people in this country. And you'll get to hear how this ties in with something that's upcoming, which we're calling the inaugural National Green Jobs and Skills Development Workshop. What exactly do we need to do as a country for our young people to be able to have the requisite skills, whether that's in the carbon markets, whether that's in the e-mobility, or any other sector that needs to be prepared in terms of making sure that we have the requisite labor for the investments and all the projects that are coming up, not just in Kenya, but in Africa. But as you know, Kenya always leads the way. And so on this episode, we get to talk about what exactly the country is doing to address that challenge or that gap. Karibu sana, Anne. It's great to have you. Mm-hmm. So I know you, and we are working on a project together, and we'll get to discuss that in details. But I just wanted us to maybe delve deeper into, first of all, introduce yourself, and then we'll get to know what exactly is Kenya doing around greening TVETs, which is your responsibility, and just the general skilling around the green economy. But first of all, tell us a little bit about Anne.
Okay. I'm Anne Kamonjo. Mm-hmm. I'm at the State Department for TVET in the Ministry of Education. I'm the head of Greening of TVET and Climate Change Unit. This particular unit deals with orientating or reorientating our TVET education and training to sustainability and climate action. Currently, what is really at stake is about climate change. And we as TVET, we are skillers, we skill the youth. And so what we're trying to do is to prepare the youth to address the climate change issues that have come up with the current crisis. And we look at the youth from both inside our institutions and outside the institutions. Mm-hmm. And as a State Department, it's our work to make them ready to really act sustainably, to have the knowledge, to have the skills, and even change their attitudes towards that. So that's what I do every other day.
Awesome. Yeah. So we'll come into the specific programs that you run, because yesterday we had a high-level roundtable with different state departments. Mm. And there was a lot of exciting updates about what they're doing. The obvious, issue that came up in the room is that a lot of work is going on, whether it's in the development space or in the private sector. The financiers are looking for money, for opportunities or projects to put money in. But there's a lot of cross-purpose working, and also a lot of replication or duplication of efforts, and that there's a need for coordination and harmonization. One of the things that was effected recently is the climate change units, which is that Kenya adopted a policy where there was need for mainstreaming of climate change in all the state departments or all the ministries, and therefore in all the state departments. And there was introduction of climate change units in all the departments. Mm-hmm. Is that how your particular directorate came up, or was yours a different initiative?
Ours did not come up out of that action plan. Mm-hmm. We were already having that unit at the State Department, mm-hmm. Which started about 2 years ago, when UNESCO Univoc has been rolling out greening of TVET in all its centers. Mm-hmm. Our State Department happens to be one of the UNESCO Univoc Center, mm-hmm. and we took it up to really operationalize that strategy, mm-hmm. on greening of TVET. Mm-hmm. And since I went through the program in the training for leadership training, yeah. So I decided to come and actualize it within our ministry, and the PS took it up with me. And that's what we are rolling out currently. So by the time they brought in the CCU, After
you were already compliant
yes,
as
after
as
the
a
action
state
plan,
department.
the National Climate Change Plan actually is the one that came up with that strategy that every ministry should have a CCU unit. So by the time that came, we were already having the unit in our State Department.
So what exactly does it mean to green TVETs? Because that's a really interesting concept, but what does it mean in terms of greening TVETs?
Okay, to start with, TVET is about vocational and technical education and training, where we look at the different skills in this different sectors, manufacturing, construction, whatever sector, and then we skill the youth and the workers there. So when it comes to greening now, is reorientating that to sustainability and climate action, so that whatever a worker does, he's so conscious about his impact to the environment and the environment's impact to his work. And so basically that's what greening TVET is about, looking at the skills and reorientating them to sustainability and climate action. Every time you do something, you're thinking, what is the impact of what I'm doing to the environment? Yeah.
And one of the things that we probably need to mention is that we've been working together on this initiative around the National Green Jobs and Skills Development Workshop. And there's been a series of convenings, different stakeholders, and it's going to be a long journey until we get to the point of alignment. One of the consistent feedbacks that's come up is that there's a huge disparity between the skills that are being developed in the TVETs and also the enterprise space in terms of the actual people that are creating the jobs. A lot of those that are graduating from TVETs are not meeting the standards of the entrepreneurs or of the private sector. What are we doing to bridge that, even as we talk about greening TVETs? Because there's a lot of demand now on sustainability, but what are we doing to bridge that gap when it comes to the two speaking to each other?
It's true, there has been a lot of mismatch from the demand side, that is the industry, and the supply side, who are the training institutions. And as a State Department, what we are doing is we are working so closely with the industry, and whatever curriculum we roll out, we're able, first of all, to involve the industry in writing up the curriculum, so that whatever we put into it is what the industry really needs. And currently we are doing what we call dual training. Dual training is that we have 50% training in the industry and 50% in the institution. So that one will narrow that gap very much, because now we're able to do what the industry really needs.
So that's in terms of the actual training.
Yeah.
But what about the programs that have already been going on and the design of the curriculum itself? Because you could be training something in class, but they still go to the field and there's still a mismatch. So are you redoing the curriculums? Are you improving on them? Or what are we doing to address that?
Okay, currently what we're doing, we are reviewing now our curricula so that it's able to fit into that. And we've rolled up a different way of teaching. We call it competency-based education and training. So we come out from theory stuff. And so what we are doing is that we're looking at the competency of our worker. And we are like, we assess you and see, do you actually, can you do that skill? Can you do it? So when we do that, like maybe after 3 months, after 6 months, it depends with your pace, then we assess you. Practically, we are more practically oriented. And then if you pass the assessment test, then we give you a certificate that gives you. Then the ones that are already in the field, the workforce, we're doing what we call recognition for prior learning. Where whatever, like Juakali, for example, go to a mechanic, he's already knows everything, but he doesn't have a certificate. So what we do, we look at what he's done, we look at the gap. And you're like, maybe there's one area that he's not very good at. So we train him in that. And then when he's gone through our skill set, then we're able to certify them.
The recognition of prior learning seems to be a really huge feat for Kenya, because even yesterday during the presidential roundtable around the wage bill, and there was a lot of conversations around the recognition of prior learning, and it seems to be something that is addressing a lot of people who have maybe suffered from not being recognized as being qualified because they probably worked as a mechanic for a long time, or as a plumber, or as an electrician, but they didn't go to school to study that. They just learned on the job, which I think also affects a lot of those in the construction sector. You have fundis, or what we call them fundis in Kenya, but then they're like masonry work that they do on the job, because they're trained on the job. They probably started off as casuals, but then they end up not having certificates. So when they go looking for jobs, they are turned down because they don't have that paper. So that's a big deal, and I think it's a huge step forward in the right direction. Now, when it comes to specifically on sustainability, let's talk about what we are doing to assess, for example, is there a skills gap that we are looking at, or a skills assessment rather, a baseline that we are looking at? Because I know that that's again one of the things that came up in the feedback that we've been getting in the convenings or in the various consultations, that there are a lot of people who've done work, and then there's also people who are feeling that there are gaps in the market. For example, there are many areas maybe that we need to look at as a country when it comes to skilling the young people. But how do you know what to focus on? Because there's a bigger demand in the job sector. So how are you doing that as a State Department?
One, I would say that sustainability space is new to us. The issue of climate change is new. And so we have to start looking at how do we adapt to it. And so what we are doing at our State Department is, one, we need to do like, we are looking at what are those green skills in different sectors, be it manufacturing, be it construction. And currently, at my level, that's exactly what I'm doing, looking at all the sectors in Kenya and try to get that. What are the green skills that are needed by the industry? Of course, it will need a strategy or a survey where we have to get out there and listen to the industry. Let them tell us. If it's like a waste management, let's say like collection waste pickers, for example, they know exactly which skills they need. So if we're able to interact with them, they're able to tell us. And then we're able to put it into a more formalized way in a curricula. And we're doing more of short courses, a competence. If it's just waste collection, then we just do that competence. Then we're able to train that person, look at what he's doing in the field already, and then we certify. So we need to do that survey, because it's hard to just know exactly which are the green skills out there. So as I mentioned in a previous episode, part of this national workshop around green jobs and skills development is that there are 3 work streams. There's the skills work stream, the finance work stream, and then the enterprise work stream. And Anne, you've been very instrumental in the skills workshop, in the skills work stream rather. What are you hearing from those that are already playing a role in skilling young people when it comes to the green economy? What are some of the highlights that you're hearing, apart from the need for bridging that gap? What other concerns or challenges or impressive work are you seeing out there? One thing that I realize is that there's so much being done out there, but in silos, in bits, and every other person is in his own space, And we need to bring this together. We need to coordinate these things so that we have a flow, so that whatever the government is doing, whatever the partners are doing, whatever the NGO world is doing, we're able to bring it together, because we're doing it for the same country, for the same workforce, for the same economy. And so as long as we are doing it in bits, then the impact is very minimal. But if we did all of us together in a more formalized way, in a more coordinated way, then maybe the impact in the country would really be felt and out there into the world. So
one of the things that is obvious, I agree with you, is the issue of coordination, which is definitely lacking. And then it doesn't even necessarily mean that that people are being merged or anything like that. It says you continue doing what you're doing, but at least have the visibility and the benefit of what another person is doing. For example, if an organization has done research that could help you improve on your work, or know what exactly to invest in for the financiers who are asking, okay, so what do we invest in? What are the projects that are coming up? That's the idea around the coordination. We have a national workshop on May 3rd. You work very closely with higher education and TVET institutions. What are you looking forward to? That's going to be the launch of this process of trying to convene or trying to direct and coordinate everyone. But what are you looking forward to on May 3rd? On May 3rd, from where I sit, I would want to see a direction towards green jobs and green skills. I would want to see, where do I move from there? Because
within the consultation, you've identified the gaps, you've seen the challenges. So during the workshop, I want to see the solutions now. From there, how do we bridge the gaps? What next? And you realize, like, if I look at like partners, for example, there are so many people who want to do something, but they don't know where, they don't know with who. So I'm imagining out of this workshop, you'll get such direction, that a financier would come to Kenya and would know where there's need and channel his funding towards that. If it is businesses, small businesses in green jobs and in green enterprises, somebody will be able to know which groups do I boost, which one do I sustain? Yeah, so out of the workshop, I would want to see that. I would want to see a direction towards that, of bridging the gap and showing a way towards the future for green jobs and green skills.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And in closing, I heard you speaking somewhere how that you've been in various convenings and consultations, and the PS TVET yesterday in the forum that we had also mentioned how she's seen even when she was younger in her work days and even in university, she could hear that there are all these sort of like papers that are being developed and policies and strategies and all that. You're part of this team. What are you doing to make sure that it's going to be different? For example, focusing on just the skills part, what are you making sure, or what are you doing to make sure that it's going to be different and with tangible outcomes at the end of the day?
I'm personally interested to see operationalization of these policies. There are so many. I look at all of them and I'm like, the Ministry of Environment has, from the green learning strategy to the action plan, to every other one. And I'm like, we need now to pack that and actually operationalize each one of them. Identify who does what, and we move, but in a coordinated way, so that we'll not be duplicating resources, we'll not be duplicating ideas. Then let's look at also what has been done before and build on it. Yeah, and so my take is I wish we can actually go to action. Yeah.
That's great. And having worked with Anne, I know for sure that that's one of the things that everyone in the room was committed to, that we have to be able to move away from the papers and make sure that we get to tangible outcomes, and measurable results, meaning that in the next 1 month, 2 months, what exactly is the output of these conversations and the various consultations that have been going on, and also what are the actual actionable and implementable outcomes that are going to be there from this workshop. If you haven't already registered, please check out our website, our social media handles, and register. If you are an organization or a young person who's interested in your future and knowing exactly where to start and what role to play, please do register for the upcoming May 3rd workshop, which is the inaugural National Green Jobs and Skills Development Workshop. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Please make sure that you participate in one way or the other. We are determined to move away from the paperwork, as Anne is saying, and get into action. Roll up your sleeves, show up, and do something about moving this country forward, at least for us in the green space. Please do like, share, and let us know what you think. Even if you'll not be able to attend in person, please do share your comments on what exactly you want to be addressed from that workshop. Check out the details on our social media handles and all the other platforms, our partners, the UNEP, the State Department of Labor, State Department of Environment and Climate Change, State Department of TVET, State Department of Higher Education, State Department of Health, and all the other partners that we are working with. Please do share and give your feedback to us and let us know how you want to get things moving from your organization and how you want to contribute towards actual tangible results. My name is Sellah Bogonko, co-founder and CEO, Jacobs Ladder Africa, and this is Green Jobs Africa.